Shalom. Thank you for joining us for another community research webinar. Today, we have the great fortune of learning about the neighborhood of Givah in Modiin. My name is Eli Bialik. I am the community advisor at Nefesh B'Nefesh. I've been working at Nefesh B'Nefesh for close to 15 years. And it is my zchut to assist olim with their research for their aliyah. I just wanted to mention that Nefesh B'Nefesh is a private organization that promotes and facilitates aliyah. We provide aliyah services, and we work hand in hand with the Jewish Agency for Israel. The Jewish Agency is responsible in determining eligibility for aliyah under the Israeli law of return. And here at Nefesh B'Nefesh, we are happy to assist you with your aliyah planning and with your aliyah process. Community research is something which is very important for your aliyah. And a person does not make aliyah to a city, they make aliyah to a neighborhood. So I am so happy to be able to introduce you to the residents of the Givah neighborhood in Modiin. What I just wanted to say is that if you are within 10 months of your expected date of Aliyah, now would be the time to go onto the Nefesh B'Nefesh website and to submit an Aliyah application. So it's my pleasure to introduce Eli, Stacy, and Aryeh, who are residents of Givah. If you could please introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about yourselves, and then we'll continue. Eli will then present a PowerPoint presentation about the community. So Eli, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you. Eli Stutz. I hail from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I made Aliyah about 30 years ago. Fast forward 30 years, I live in Modiin with my wife and 4 children. Today I work in high tech in the field of cybersecurity, and I'm a technical writer. I'm very, very happy to speak with you about our community.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eli. Stacy, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Stacy Goodstein-Stamker. I am from Rosedale, Queens, New York. Grew up there and married an Israeli. And he came to New York actually for a few years. And then came back to Israel 23 years ago and made Aliyah, brought my 3 beautiful daughters up in Modiin in the same community that I live in today. And they're all grown. And yeah, I'm here to answer any questions or tell you a little bit more.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Aryeh, please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Aryeh Canal. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, USA. When we grew up, my family, I moved to Silver Spring, Maryland, and I made Aliyah from Silver Spring, Maryland. A little under 3 years ago, so I'm not in the same boat as people who've been here for decades. I'm just getting settled here and actually quite settled in Givah. I'm here with my wife and our children, and we're liking the community, which is why I wanted to come talk to you guys about it here today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aryeh. So Eli, I understand that you'd like to present some information about the Givah neighborhood. Would you be able to share your presentation with us?
Yes, I would be very happy to do so. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so we'll get started. So we will get started from the beginning. The 3 of us and our families belong to a community in Givah called the Merkaz Modiin community, literally the center of Modiin community, because it's kind of central in Modiin, and it's one of the older neighborhoods of Modiin. And we belong to a warm and welcoming synagogue community in Givah, in what's also the official name now is Masua, actually. Givah is the original name that people still use. And this is a short presentation about our community and our synagogue, and we can also talk a little bit just about the neighborhood as well, and I'll try to add some information about that as we go along. Who are we? So we're one of the earliest shuls that were founded in Modiin. We've been around for over 20 years now, over 25 years. The shul is on the corner of Nachal Faran and Nachal Tzin streets in Givah C. It's primarily made up of congregants from an Ashkenazic background. We're very centrally located. Just the neighborhood in general is a great location. It's got a lot of parks. I think the most green space and parks of neighborhoods in Modiin. Just along the Emek Kahula Street, we have wonderful green space. We're walking distance to the Azrieli Mall, which is a big shopping center, to the walking distance to the train station, the central bus station, and also for olim with kids of grade school or elementary school age, we are also proud to be near the Masuat Neriya Religious Primary School. And my youngest son is still in 6th grade there, and it's got a good reputation, and for a good reason. It's a great school.
My youngest three are there right now. It's good.
Absolutely. How many kids do you have there right now, Ari?
3.
Wonderful. So our rabbi and spiritual leader, Rabbi Gidon Weitzman, is a leading expert in fertility and halacha. He works at Machon Pua, which is an organization which helps families with fertility issues according to Jewish law. He's also kind of he has a regular column in the Orthodox Union's Torah Tidbits weekly that's published for every Shabbat. That an edition comes out, and he has a column there. And he is wonderful. He has a huge breadth of knowledge, not just in fertility. And one of the highlights in our shul is that he gives a Q&A session to the kids in the shul after Kiddushim, and they just ask questions, and he answers them on the spot. And the kids love it, and it's not just kids, like also parents sit there, and it's a great experience. So he's really a brilliant source of knowledge and inspiration for the shul. We have about 60 member families. We're a mix of Israeli, Anglo, and also some Russian families. And what's unique about our community is that it's a mix. So some communities in Modiin or elsewhere in the country are kind of primarily Anglo, and you just hear English. Whereas in our community, we're really into the Anglo olim, and the Anglo families are really integrated with the Israeli families, and it's a good way to kind of absorb yourself into Israeli society and speak Hebrew and get to know people who have grown up here at Sabarim, native Israelis. So it's a kibbutz galuyot. It's a gathering of exiles. We are very welcoming to guests and to any guest, and also especially to olim. And we pair them with host families, and we give them support. I'll get a bit more to that in a bit. As far as our shul and our activities, we have a strong focus on Torah and tefillot. We have many different shiurim, daf yomi, a Gemara shiur, a weekly Gemara shiur. Rabbi Weitzman gives a women's shiur after every Shabbat service. We have a shiur between Mincha and Mariv on Shabbat. Sometimes we have also special shurim over the course of the year. Sometimes the Chief Rabbi Lau, who used to be the Chief Rabbi Modiin, now is the Chief Rabbi of Israel, he gives a shiur between Mincha and Mariv because he still lives in Modiin, so he walks down to our shul, so that's a highlight. We have children's services on Shabbat morning, where kids can get involved in davening, and we have different minyan options, early and late, for people who like early minyan, people who like late, so there's different options. And we daven Nusach Sfard, which is a bit more of an Israeli flavor, even though we're an Ashkenazic congregation. We organize community activities over the course of the year, especially around holidays. So we had a beautiful Tu B'Shvat activity. There's an amazing trail of trees that one of the families of the shul planted over the years, with about 40 or so cool different species of trees that they planted over just along the road that goes down from the shul. And the father of the family, Moli Kimmel, who planted in his grandfather's memory, he gave the whole shul and our neighboring shul, actually, like this lecture and this walking tour of the trees. That was Tu B'Shvat. We had a great Mishloach Manot project on Purim. You could see a picture there where the young women of the organization, the teenager girls, organized together, and they did it themselves. They planned and logistically organized Mishloach Manot on Purim, and it was a fantastic project. So we had an Onik Shabbat with Rabbi Weitzman. So we're really trying to up the scale of our activities this year, and it's not just a place to daven, it's also a place to socialize, to bond, to do meaningful activities around holidays and learning. I talked about supporting olim. So this year we started a new initiative. Stacy and Ari are part of this initiative, and we have actually 8 families who joined a klita team, an absorption team. And we said this year we're going to make a point of welcoming olim into our congregation, and also reaching out to Nefesh B'Nefesh and other organizations and the community to say we are opening our doors to olim, because we believe firmly in aliyah. We're all olim ourselves, and we, from a religious, from an ideological point of view, we want to help people come. We want to help Jews come to Israel, and we feel that aliyah is a challenging process, and you need support, and we're here to support you. We match up olim with supportive families. We help them through difficulties and challenges together. We host them for Shabbat meals, not just the first Shabbat meal, but ongoing. And we're just in touch. Parents are in touch, children are in touch, and we make a point of that, and we'll continue to make a point of that. That's a little video that you could see on our website that we did about that initiative recently. Let me just try to move to the next slide. Here we go. So just as far as getting in touch with us, I'm heading the Klita team. I'm also on the VAD, and the council of our shul, the VAD, is very aware and supportive of this whole initiative. Sharon Bloomberg, who was actually at the beginning of the call, but she couldn't make the call. She was on the way. She is our Klita team member and hosting coordinator. And the Bloomberg family, just in general, is like our leading hosting family, and they're always reaching out and hosting visitors and guests. So she's the coordinator there for families who are interested in setting up a visit. And we have a new website that we launched recently, and we have a Facebook page, and we have a lot, more information on both of those, including davening times and social, pictures from our recent events and contact information. So we've got just do a brief, show you merkazmodim.org. That's the URL, and the site was launched recently. It's primarily in English, actually, and we're starting to add a little Hebrew as well, and we need to have that balance. And you can just see here, last week, even though there were some wildfires in the area, we got together and had davening for Israel Independence Day, Yom Ha'atzmaut, and that was very meaningful. And I think that's the story of Israel, that despite all the difficulties and the hardships, we keep going on. So that's what I wanted to share with you today.
Thank you so much. Toda rabba. It's interesting. One of the things that I find beautiful about Modiin in general are the aesthetics. And it's a city that was planned out by the renowned architect Moshe Safdie. And I just wanted to ask you, Eli, how does your neighborhood of Givah see, as far as aesthetics and layout, how does it differ from some of the other neighborhoods?
Compared to the other neighborhoods in Modiin, you're asking?
Yes.
So there's I'm glad you asked. First of all, I don't want to knock any of the other communities in Modiin. Modiin has a nice array of lovely communities in many different locations. What's nice about Givah and also the Nechalim neighborhood, which is adjacent to it, is that it is one of the older neighborhoods. And there's just more green space. There's more open space. Some of the newer neighborhoods, the building is more dense and packed, and here in Givah, it's we have huge park areas. There's an amphitheater park. It's called there's two names. There's an amphi park and a fish park, and it's all green grass. And it's I would say the layout, there's bike paths, there's playgrounds, there's an exercise park at the end of the street. So the layout is lovely. I would say it's Modiin in general is a bit hillier than the coastal region. So it's not Netanya and it's not Ra'anana, and there are some hills. It's not as hilly. The hills aren't as steep as, let's say, Jerusalem, for example, but it's a little hilly as far as layout.
But there are
Yeah,
steps all over, if I may.
sure.
There are many steps all over the city that connect places, so you can get around even with the hills.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there are stretches of streets which are flat. Like I go for my kind of exercise run along Emekahula, which is the main street, and it's completely flat, and that's so there's flat as well as hill.
And can I add to that too, Ellie?
Sure.
Because I also run along Emekahula, and when you get to the end of Emekahula, what do you see? You see fields, and it's the most incredible thing. You're living in a city with houses and people and everything going on, and then you get just literally a mile, down, a kilometer down, and it's fields, and it's just so you have this like quaint country kind of almost feeling, this is Israel. And it's for me, it's a beautiful thing. I love when I get there.
I totally agree with that one.
As far as the aesthetics.
Yeah.
Lovely. Do Stacy, let me ask you, do you spend most of your time in the city, or are you traveling to other locations?
What a great question. Actually, okay, so I moved here 23 years ago, and I'll tell you something. I'm married to a native Israeli, and he's a Sfard, and we ended up in an Ashkenaz synagogue, because there were Sfard synagogues as well. And the whole reason that we ended up there was we were jumping around, shul hopping, and there weren't really women at that point. There in the Sfard shuls that were right in our area, there weren't really women going. And I always liked to go to shul, and I was taking my 2-year-old, and I was invited to someone's house for Shabbat lunch. And so that's the story. We made friends, and my husband's an open guy. And anyway, he's an Indian Sfard, and they're really one Indian congregation. So, and he spent time in New York, so he was used to Ashkenazim. So, and he's very involved in the shul. He was once also the Rosh Vad. Yes, the Indian Sfard Rosh Vad of the Ashkenaz shul. It's all good. As Ellie said, it is a friendly congregation. And I'm an English teacher, and I've spent many years working in Modiin teaching. Now I work at a college, and I work on Zoom, so I'm home a lot, and sometimes I travel out. Depends on each semester, everything changes. But I spend a lot of time in Modiin, a lot of time. And I just wanted to add something about the kids also. The kids in the shul, they have opportunities to go to many different youth movements that are easy to get to. So like my daughters were in the Tzofim Datiim, in the Israeli Scouts, the religious Israeli Scouts, which is very close to our area, like really a hop, skip, and a jump, that's it. And many kids go to Bnei Akiva, which is a little bit more of a walk, but they all walk together, and everybody walks in Israel. Like that's also something to realize. There's also Ezra, and I know that there's something else that I'm forgetting, but there were a few different youth movements, and the kids can all get to them. From my house, my kids walked to high school. They went to the Amit girls' school, and they could take the bus. There was a bus that ran, but they walked every morning, like about a 20-minute walk, and they liked it. It was a good way to wake up. And so we love the neighborhood. We decided to stay in this neighborhood. When we moved here, many people were moving out of the neighborhood to buy bigger houses. And we really liked the convenience of the neighborhood. And we were here before the mall opened, and we were here before the train station opened, and before the bus was open. So, we still felt that it was convenient, and then everything opened, and it's really just a 5-minute walk from where I live. So.
Wow. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much. Aryeh, would love to hear a little bit about your connection with the community and why you think it may be a place for prospective olim.
Absolutely. So when we were looking to make Aliyah, we looked into Modiin specifically because we wanted a city that we knew had a lot of olim there, because that meant that the local area, the local government was like just would be probably we assumed would be better set up to just assist olim and support, the children in school and the transition for us and all that stuff. And we were right, it actually has a lot of services here. When we were looking within Modiin, there's a number of different communities which are very attractive to most olim because there's a lot of people making aliyah to all those communities. And there are several of them that like everyone speaks English all day because it's just so packed with Anglos. We specifically chose that we wanted to go to Givah because we wanted a place that had more of a mix of Israelis and Anglos. We wanted our children to have enough English around them that they would feel supported and it wouldn't be too jarring of a change, but enough Hebrew that they felt like pushed that they would have to start to learn, the local language if they wanted to get around. We didn't want it to be, too easy on them so that they would end up never learning it. So that's how we ended up choosing Givah. And honestly, it's worked out beautifully for us. There's definitely, like I said, fewer only than in other places, but that doesn't mean that we're alone and that nobody here speaks English. Every single person we've met, Israeli, American, British, South African, whatever it is, at least 80% of them speak English, and we're absolutely able to communicate with them just fine. And like you said, having been here, the parks, the way that we're walking distance to everything, it's just been a beautiful place for raising our family, and the kids have plenty of friends to play with, plenty of things like that, and we've just been very happy here. I think actually, if I could just add one more thing, I just realized going back to talking about the shul's been a wonderfully welcoming place for us. From the first time we got to that first Shabbat, they recognized us. They're like, "Oh, no, leave!" They gave me an aliyah that Shabbat right away. It was just wonderful. And as that Motzei Shabbat, they had added us to the group, to the shul's WhatsApp group, and then Mazal Tov, welcome to the Canal family, and it was just wonderful. And it feels very, number one, welcoming, but also just very easy to get used to, because the Rav is, I believe, British, and he speaks fluent English. He's very easy to ask, questions to, and he's very available to ask any questions for the transition to Israel. The shiurim and the talks and the things like that, everything that happens in the shul is in Hebrew, but he speaks a very simple, straightforward Hebrew. So, like, in my first Shabbat here, I was able to understand like 70% of the Joshua just, off the bat. That's just how it was. So I found it very easy to get used to and to just merge into.
Okay, thank you so much. So, one of the things that I wanted to ask all of you is because we're talking about a religious community, but Modiin is a diverse and perhaps mostly secular city. So, how does that work? How is that dynamic play out in the neighborhood? Who would like to address this question?
Stacey, you've been here the longest. Do you have an answer on that one? I'd be happy to answer, but if you wanted
I've
to
always felt that, I know what the numbers say, and I know what the logic of Modiin in the very beginning. They wanted it to be more of a secular city, but I never felt, I feel it's such a mixed city, and I feel like there's so many religious people. In other words, yeah, we've been here for 23 years. We used to go to the park. We used to call it the Shabbat Park. Everybody called it the Shabbat Park. We'd go there and everybody sat on the hill and we all had Sudash Lishit together. Everybody brought their kids and whatever. There was no lack of religious people. I could tell you something else, and because I really have been here a long time. When the mall first opened, they were places were McDonald's, for instance, wasn't kosher. It was supposed to be open on Shabbat, okay? And there were some other places around town, places open up and they're not kosher. And within a few months, we always say, watch, it's going to change. And many of them do. So there's so many wonderful kosher restaurants here. As a matter of fact, every time a non-kosher place becomes kosher, we make it a thing in our family. Okay, we got to go eat there because we got to go. And we tell them. We make sure to tell them we came here on purpose, and they don't disappoint. We have great restaurants. Most of the places are closed on Shabbat. I mean, that's just a reality, and why not? We should all have a day of rest. plenty of people outside, even people not keeping Shabbat. They're out in the park on Shabbat. They're having fun. It's family. There was a birthday party outside my door on this past Shabbat. They weren't religious, but it was only family all together. It doesn't bother me because I'm a New Yorker. I'm used to living, I don't want to live in a ghetto. So yeah, I'm quite happy with it.
I would echo that sentiment, if I may. Our neighbors that are right outside, when we open our door, we see their door. They're not religious, but we're very, very close. We invite them over on Hanukkah for them to come over and light the candles and eat sufganiyot with us. We play ping pong. My kids and I play ping pong in their backyard because they got a ping pong table. Their child feels very free to knock on our door. He's the littlest kid and he makes the loudest noise when he knocks on our door, and we love to have him come over and play with our kids. And that's just a very small example of how Dati and secular, religious and secular Jews are integrated in this neighborhood and in Modiin in general. I volunteer for the Mishmar Azrachi in Modiin, and there's a lot of religious and non-religious there. My wife and I are part of a volunteer program where we give out food that would otherwise be thrown out on Fridays, and there's a collection, and we give them out to some needy families in Modiin, and that's a grassroots project, and there's religious and non-religious people as part of that project working together. So kind of like, in a way, like the way in our shul, how Israeli and Anglo and Russian, we come together and we're all kind of, it's a mix, and it combines well. I think Modiin also combines well as far as religious and secular Jews.
Thank you. Thank you. We have a few more minutes left, and I'd like to ask two questions. Question number one is
My wife here is sitting down, Siona. Welcome to the call. I'll take off.
Shalom, Sienna. Shalom, Sienna. So the questions that I wanted to ask is, okay, so if somebody is watching this video and is interested in learning more, what's their next step?
So first of all, we're very open to being in touch with you. We invite you to contact us. I shared earlier on the screen our contact information. So it's really just to get in touch with myself or Sharon Bloomberg, directly, email or phone. We have a contact form also on our website. So if you missed that and you want to go straight to the website, there's a contact us form here, and we'll, you can reach out to us also on Facebook. So all the channels are open, and then the steps
about like they could come for a Shabbat.
Yeah, and then the next
visit.
Absolutely, the next steps would be that we would set you up with a visit for Shabbat with meals. If you need to be hosted somewhere, we'll set that up for you. So it's that's the first step, and that's it can start even just with a conversation. We can have a Zoom call or a Facebook chat, and then the next step can be a visit, and then the next step can be a pilot trip, and then the next step can be you're joining our community.
So thank you. That leads me to the second question. So let's say somebody has engaged you about the community and they really would like to move forward. How do people find housing in the neighborhood?
So that's a great question. Recently, we've been in touch with I've been in touch. I've reached out to some real estate agents in Modiin and in the neighborhood particularly. We had a session here in our home about a month or two ago with several real estate agents, and I asked them, are there options for families looking to move into Givah? And they said, absolutely, yes, there are options. They're even sometimes slightly more reasonably priced than some of the other neighborhoods in Modiin. And they're attractive. I got a notice a couple weeks ago about a place which is just down the road from our shul, a very nice place with 6 bedrooms, so 6 rooms. So there are options, and we can also put you in touch with friendly real estate agents who can help you find the right home.
English-speaking real estate agents.
Yes.
And there's an apartment for sale in my building.
Oh,
Just
okay. Oh, all right.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. I just wanted to mention that Nefesh B'Nefesh does not provide recommendations for any service providers, not for realtors, not for accountants or for lawyers. But at the end of the day, everybody needs to be in contact with a professional in order to be able to find a home. I want to thank you so much for joining today to introduce prospective olim to the neighborhood of Givah in Modiin. I think currently Modiin is the top fourth or fifth community throughout all of Israel that attracts North American Aliyah. We look forward to seeing many, many more olim come to the community. I don't know anybody who has moved to Modiin who has been unhappy. So that says a lot about the community. Eli, Aryeh, and Stacy, I want to thank you so much. And Eli's wife, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name again.
Siona.
Siona, thank you. And Siona, thank you so much for joining us today. I'd also like to remind those people who are watching this webinar that if you are within 10 months of your tentative Aliyah timeframe, now would be the time, please, to go to the Nefesh B'Nefesh website, nbn.org.il, and to submit your Aliyah application. And if you have any additional questions about Givah or other neighborhoods in Modiin or other communities throughout Israel, please be in contact with me at communities with an S at nbn.org.il. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.